Sakyamuni Buddha. Before we go with the Dhamma talk, we want to invoke the name of our Buddha 3 times, okay? Namo Sakyamuni Buddha, Namo Sakyamuni Buddha, Namo Sakyamuni Buddha. First thing, I want to talk today. Today we chanted the chapter 25th. That means the Avalokiteshvara chapter, the perceiver of the world, the sound. Why we do that? Because that's the one of the loving compassion who want to pray for the war in Ukraine, okay? Because that's the cruelty, that's the animosity, the crazy gravity they want to inflict to the people in Ukraine. That's really unhuman. So we pray for the safety of the people in Ukraine. And second thing I want to talk to you about, a lot of misunderstanding about the teaching of Buddha. Buddha said one thing, okay? We don't distort the teaching. It's a mistake if we don't understand it and we distort the teaching. Because Buddha is a wonderful teacher. He uses different techniques to teach all levels of practitioners. He doesn't teach only you, the intelligent person. You have education, you are intelligent. He teaches every level, the middle level, the lower level, the high level. He wants to reach everybody. Like he said, the rain. Whatever big rain, the big tree have water, the medium tree have water, the small tree have water, the grass on the ground have water. So everybody will benefit from his teaching. So I take the chapter 25 to explain about the deep meaning of the teaching. Sometimes you listen, we chanted the sutra, we do it superficially, so we misunderstand it. We think it's a mythology, we think it's mystical, we think it doesn't make sense. No, it makes sense, because the technique he used to teach. Okay? And so now I get an example of that to see what's the meaning. Another thing too, I want to talk to you about the discrimination. Buddha never discriminates. Buddha doesn't discriminate. Gender discrimination, age discrimination, class discrimination. Example, okay? The chapter 12 of the Lotus Sutra. The Lotus Sutra is a wonderful sutra. That's the sutra he taught near the end of his life. It's a wonderful sutra. In the chapter 12 about Devadatta, about the man, he's a student, but he's a very intelligent monk. But the only thing, he's a very jealous person. So he wanted to be the head of the monk there. Buddha wouldn't let him. He's related to Buddha. He's a cousin. He's intelligent. He's a very good practitioner. But the only thing, he's very jealous. He has the cult of personality. He wants him to be the number one. Buddha would not let him. So he gets jealous. He wants to revenge. He brought many times to kill Buddha and to label, to slander him, to do everything. Buddha forgave him. Buddha called him, he's my teacher. He teaches me how to be a good monk. He never say that, oh, he's a bad guy, you have to punish him, nothing. No, He said, no, he's my teacher. He taught me how to be a good monk. You see how good our Buddha. He's not vindictive. He's not petty like Devadatta. Okay? So, but in that chapter 12, there's one thing you have to notice it. In that chapter, there was Manjushri, that's one the very good disciple. He tells people, he said, he was teaching the Lotus Sutra. He said, what's the benefit of the Lotus Sutra? So another Bodhisattva, his name is the wisdom accumulated Bodhisattva. He's one Bodhisattva. I said, what is the benefit? He said, benefit is you study that sutra, it helps you to advance your learning and advance you to become a good practitioner, to get alignment. So he said, prove it to me. He said, oh, one daughter, young daughter of the king of the dragon, Sagata. She's only 8 years old. She become Buddha. He said, I don't believe it. He said, no. She come here and she proved to you. So she come in and she proved to everybody. He said, look at me, my accomplishment. She come in there. She offered something to Buddha and she tell the people, he said, I offer the gift to Buddha. Is it long? He said, no, it's not long. They said, the time I become Buddha is shorter than the time I present the gift to Buddha. She proved it. He said, look at me. And she become Buddha right away. So what he's saying, he said, before when you read a lot of sutra, you hear, oh, they have discrimination. He said, I don't want to be a woman. Next life I want to be a man. It's better to become man than be woman. It's a pejorative. It's a divinity. It's not that way. Because in the teaching before, in the common literature, they have to use comparison. We human beings, we live in the comparative world on the relative truth. We need to have black and white to compare. You want to see something white, you have the black to see the difference between black and white, you understand. You want to see something pretty, you have to see something ugly to compare something to get pretty. So they use a picture of woman and man. And sometimes they say, oh, man is better than woman. It's not that way. Buddha didn't say that way. So the proof is this one, okay? It's a young girl, no discrimination at the age. Before it was only the old man. The old people, they have the wisdom, the intelligence, because they're older. But you look at in the literature, like in the French literature, the Le Cid on the Corneille, one of the very best writer of the French, he said the age means nothing. The age will prove what you have value. He said aging is not value. Okay? You can be very young, but you're very valuable. So in this one, Buddha showed to you, proved to you, she's only 8 and she's the female. She become a Buddha. So what he say, Buddha never discriminate against women. Okay? So when you read the sutra, you hear about the comparison between man and woman, and they say man's better, and next life I want to be born as a man instead of woman. It's not true. That's a comparison. Like in literature, use comparison. Like ourselves, we have to compare. Okay? We compare something so we can understand that. It's our human intelligence. We need some comparison to understand that. So I just want to show to you the chapter 12 of the Lotus Sutra, Devadatta. You find that way. You find the example. You see the young daughter of the king dragon. She become the Buddha instantly. Okay? That proves that Buddha did not discriminate. So don't say Buddha discriminate against women, even age. No, it's not true. It proves that. Okay? So now I go to the chapter 25 to see how profound the teaching. When you read the sutra, you don't read carefully. You misunderstand the teaching. Okay? And you see, we monk and nun, we chant over and over. Like the Lotus Sutra, it has 28 chapters. We chant one chapter a day. So it takes us 28 days, almost a month, to finish the book. So it's about a year, about 12 times the book. So some monks, they tell you, oh, I chant the Lotus Sutra a few thousand times. That means how many years? It can be many, many years. It's not he or she, they are slow learner, they are stupid, they're not intelligent. No, they want to study. They want to go deeper in the meaning. Because when you go superficially, you don't understand it. You never understand it. Because Buddha used different techniques. He used a parable, he used an example, he used an anecdote, he used a different kind, analogy, different kind to teach you, to explain to you. But you know that's the best way we understand. Like when you study literature, you use different form. Somebody use prose, somebody use a verse to help you to understand it. And even in the prose, they use different technique so you can understand better. So now in the chapter 25th, I will tell you about something. In the chapter 25th, about the Bodhisattva, we call Avalokiteshvara, or the other people they call Quang, like the Chinese people. Like the Japanese they call Kanan. And she or he, some people they call it he, but the Vietnamese tradition, the Chinese tradition, we think it's the she. Because it's a mother. The mother is a symbol of love. Because the mother, she's always love her children, no matter what, okay? The children are good, she loves them. The children not good, she loves them more. Okay? So we call like a mother of kindness, okay? Of a loving kindness. So in this chapter, there have one thing. Near the end of the chapter, have one Bodhisattva. He's a Bodhisattva of inexhaustible intent. He presents one bracelet, the gift he offered to a Bodhisattva. And Bodhisattva, the Avalokiteshvara, refused it, turned it down. And he asked, please, out of love for us, accept this gift. And finally, Buddha said, please accept for him, out of love for him and for all the practitioners. He said, okay, I accept it. But what's the meaning? If you read it only this way, you think, oh, that's the one man, he just presented the gift, and the other man turned it down and finally accepted it. What is the meaning? It doesn't mean that much. But the deep meaning is this one, okay? So, the man of they call Bodhisattva, inexhaustible intent. Who is he? He is our intention. Our intention, we we have intention, we have a good intention. That's him. It's us, our intention. And Bodhisattva, the Avalokitesvara, is the discipline. It's a loving kindness practice. So our intention, we want to learn that discipline, that way to practice loving kindness, loving compassion. Okay? She's a he, practice loving compassion. And our intention is to practice loving compassion. So, what it means when we, the Bodhisattva of inexhaustible intent, want to offer the gift, the bracelet, very precious, to Avalokitesvara. What it means? That means we have intention to practice that discipline, loving compassion. And now the Bodhisattva inexhaustible intent get the gift, present to Avalokitesvara. What it means? It means he knows that the practice of loving compassion is very precious. He wants to help us to practice it and practice the listening, the understanding of the discipline. So he wants to ask the Bodhisattva of loving compassion, that Avalokitesvara, please accept my gift, okay? My gift and my good intention to practice loving compassion, accept it. And Avalokitesvara turned it down. No, he didn't want it. What it means? It means that you have to practice and practice it. It's not that easy. It's not easy. You say, okay, I know about the discipline. I know about the teaching of a loving compassion, but you have to practice it. You cannot say that I know it. You need to practice it. So that's the reason why it turned it down. And many times after that, the Avalokitesvara accepted. That means after many years of practice, of effort, you get it. That's the meaning, okay? That's the meaning. Why that? And Buddha had to interfere. Buddha said, please accept it. Buddha represents the wisdom. After you practice many years, you be good in the loving compassion practice. You have wisdom. That the Buddha intervened. Okay? He said, please accept. That means you have it. Okay? So it's the meaning. The meaning. So when Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara accept the bracelet, he divided two parts. One he offered to Sakyamuni Buddha, one to the other Buddha in the tower. What it means? It means when you get that, the practice, you have a success. One part go to you, 7 consciousness, that means to your mind. The other one go to number 8, that means the deposit of your wisdom. So you said 2 parts, it doesn't mean just give to the 2 Buddha. Give to yourself, because you know we have 8 consciousness, the 6th one, the 5 sense, and then your mind, and then the mana, vijnana, that means the 7, and then the last one, the number 8, that means you divide that part. that you success the two part, you deposit in yourself, you practice it. So what it means, you know, the sutra have a deep meaning. So when you chant the sutra, take time for you to understand it. You can understand by yourself. After you chant it multiple times, you figure out the deep meaning of the teaching. Or you have some monk or nun, because they've been spending years of practice, they understand that. They can help you. They can help you to figure out the deep meaning of the teaching. So we never distort the teaching of our teacher, Sakyamuni Buddha. It's our mistake. It doesn't mean he wants to give you some false information. Everything he gives to us is true, it's correct. It's up to us how to understand it. Like for example, you go to school. When you first learn, you don't understand that much. When you first learn math in arithmetic, in middle school, you go upper, you go to math, and then go to high math. You go to college, you go to higher math, calculus, everything higher. You understand more and more. So you don't blame your teacher. Oh, he didn't teach me the whole thing. He teach me addition, subtraction, division, and fraction. He never teaches me everything. He waits you advance it. Step by step, you understand it. It takes time for you to understand it. So don't blame about education. The school didn't teach me. No, they want to teach you. But we have to make an effort. You have to advance it, and you will understand more. So in the practice of Buddhism, the same thing. Buddha spent 45 years or 49 years, it depends on the school, they tell you 49 or 45 years. You do a lot of teaching. You have a lot of sutra, but understand it or not, it's up to you how you practice it and how you want to go after his teaching. Okay? If you don't spend much time, it's just like all people, they go to the sect, they said, oh, I study Buddhism. They learn about this, they read about 1, 2, 3 times, very superficial. They said, oh, I am a scholar in Buddhism because I read now how many times, I go internet, I go online, I think no, it takes time. So to see how many monks and nuns, they claim they understand Buddhism. We never claim we understand, we still learning. Many monks, they get in very young, 6 years old, 13 years old, all their life they study. They study the three basket. They never finish it. It's so vast, so profound. It takes time to understand. It takes time to penetrate it. Like education. You said you finish your education. You never finish your education. You keep learning, you keep learning. I'm the doctor. I study all my life, I still go to CME, continuing education. Yesterday, I go to CME. I study with my friend. And a lot of people buy promotion. I went yesterday, only one guy, my promotion. The rest of them, they die already. And we laughed and said, oh, you and me were too late. Okay? And all of them, they're gone. But we still study, we love it. As long as we live, we study. So all of us do, as long as you live, study. So we have more education, understand more. We never finish education. So the practice of Buddhism is the same way. If you want to understand Buddhism, please practice it, study it. Study and practice go hand in hand. Some people, they arrogant. They study little. They say, oh, I'm certified, I'm ordained Dharma teacher. That's a joke. You have to practice. You have to spend time. So I never believed the guy who said he spent about 2-3 years studying on weekend, few hours, and later on he sent a paper and said, I'm certified Dharma teacher. I just didn't believe it. I said, we monk and nun, we spend all our life studying. We still don't think that we are certified Dharma teacher, because it's not true. Okay? So that's the thing we need to try. And so every sutra you read it, please be very careful. Go in, do it again. Maybe the 10th time you understand a little bit more. The 100th time you understand more. The 1,000th time you understand more. Keep doing it until you understand. Like for example, a piece of music. I play music, and the people said, you never understand the intention of the composer. You're not the composer. You play it as much as you can, but you cannot do the full interpretation of the piece. The composer, he wants you to play. He's the only one. He knows it, because that's his mind, that's his soul. He put in that piece of music. We are the practitioner. We try to interpret it, but there's no way we can interpret 100% the way the composer wants us to do it. Okay? If we claim that, oh, we play perfectly, that's a joke. No. You cannot play Beethoven or Mozart or Bach the way Bach wants you to play. Only Bach can play his piece. Mozart can play his piece, or Beethoven can play his piece. We just maybe 50%, 70%, or maybe the very gifted 80%, not 100%. Okay? That I talked to him the other day about the 25th chapter. That's an example about the deep meaning of the sutra. Okay? So we have any question, I try to answer the question, and we try to chant the 25th chapter today about the loving compassion. We pray for the safety of the people from Ukraine against the cruelty of Putin. Anybody have any question? If I have no question, we transfer the merit, we go chant the 25th chapter of the Lotus Sutra today. Namo Sakyamuni Buddha, Namo Sakyamuni Buddha, Namo Sakyamuni Buddha. Any Buddhist commission we accomplished today, we want to transfer to the for wisdom and life.
Page 253, 253.
Oh dear.
Buddhas Place filled with as the power of expedient means apply. In this case, the Buddha said to Bodhisattva, inexhaustible intent, good man, if there are living beings in the land, you need someone in the body of a Buddha in order to be saved. Bodhisattva, receiver of the world, sent immediately manifests himself in a Buddha body and creates the law for them. They need someone in a project of Buddha's body in order to be saved. Immediately he manifests the project of Buddha's body and preaches the law for them. If they need a voice hearer to be saved, immediately he becomes a voice hearer and preaches the law for them. If they need King Brahma to be saved, immediately he becomes King Brahma and preaches the law for them. If they need the Lord Chakra to be saved, immediately he becomes the Lord Chakra and preaches the law for them. If they need the heavenly being freedom to be saved, immediately he becomes the heavenly being freedom and preaches the law for them. If they need the heavenly being freedom to be saved, immediately he becomes the heavenly being freedom and preaches the law for them. If they need a great general of heaven to be saved, immediately he becomes a great general of heaven and preaches the law for them. If they need Vaishnavana to be saved, immediately he becomes Vaishnavana and preaches the law for them. If they need a petty king to be saved, immediately he becomes a petty king and preaches the law for them. If they need a rich man to be saved, immediately he becomes a rich man and preaches the law for them. If they need a householder to be saved, immediately he becomes a householder and preaches the law for them. If they need a chief minister to be saved, immediately he becomes a chief minister and preaches the law for them. If they need a prophet to be saved, immediately he becomes a prophet and preaches the law for them. If they need a monk, a layman believer, or a laywoman believer to be saved, immediately he becomes a monk, a layman believer, or a laywoman believer and preaches the law for them. If they need the wife of a rich man, a householder, a chief minister, or a prophet to be saved, immediately he becomes those wives and preaches the law for them. If they need a young boy or a young girl to be saved, immediately he becomes a young boy or a young girl and preaches the law for them. If they need a heavenly being, a dragon, a yaksha, a gandharva, a sura, a garuda, a kimbala, a bahoraga, a unicorn, to be saved, immediately he becomes all of these and preaches the law for them. If they need a Vajrayana God to be saved, immediately he becomes a Vajrayana God and preaches the law for them. Inexhaustible intent, Bodhisattva, receiver of the world, succeeded, acquiring benefits such as these and taking on a variety of different forms, things of the living beings. For this reason, you and the others should single-mindedly offer alms to Bodhisattva, receiver of the world, senses Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, receiver of the world, sense, and bestow fearlessness on those who are in fearful, passing, or difficult circumstances. That is why in this Sama world everyone calls him the sower of fearlessness, Bodhisattva, inexhaustible intent. swear out of compassion for us, please accept this necklace. Then the Buddha said to Bodhisattva, perceiver of the world, sent out of compassion for this Bodhisattva, inexhaustible intent, and for the four kinds of believers, the heavenly kings, dragons, yashas, Gandharvas, asuras, garudas, Gandharas, Kambodragas, human and unhuman beings. You should accept this necklace. Venerable Bodhisattva, perceiver of the world, sounds having compassion for the four kinds of believers, the heavenly beings, dragons, human and non-human beings, and the others accepted the necklace, then dividing it into two parts, presented one part to Shakyamuni Buddha, presented the other to the tower of the Buddha, many treasures. The Buddha said, inexhaustible intent, these are the points of fleshly nature, synthesized supernatural powers that Bodhisattva, perceiver of the world, sounds displays in his minds and going in the Saha world. At the time Bodhisattva, inexhaustible intent, poses question in birth from world wonderful wonderful features. I now ask you once again, for what reason that Buddha sought three Bodhisattva, perceiver of the world, sounds the honor, one endowed with wonderful features. Reply to many thoughts that hold attention. First, listen to the actions of the perceiver of sounds. How aptly he responds in various quarters. His vast wealth is deep as the ocean, calm, vast, remains unfathomable. He has attended many thousands and millions of Buddhas, setting forth his great purpose. I will describe it in outline for you. Listen to his name, observe his body, bear him in mind, not passing the time mainly, for he can wipe out the pains of existence. One should conceive a wish to heart, he should push you into a great pit of fire. Think on the power of that perceiver of sound, and that pit of fire will change into a pot if we should be cast adrift on the vast ocean, menaced by dragons, fish, and various demons. Think on the power that perceiver of sound, and the billows and waves cannot drown you. Suppose you are on the peak of Mount Singaru, when someone pushes you off. Think on the power of that perceiver of sound, and you will hang in midair like the sun. Suppose you are pursued by evil men who wish to throw you down from a diamond mountain. Think on the power of the perceiver of sound, and they cannot harm a hair of you. Suppose you are surrounded by evil-hearted bandits, each brandishing a knife to wound you. Think on the power of that perceiver of sounds, and that one's all will be swayed by compassion. Suppose you encounter trouble with the king's law-face punishment, not about to forfeit your life. Think on the power of that perceiver of sounds, and the executioner's sword will be broken to bits. Suppose you are imprisoned in caged and locked, hands and feet bound by fetters and chains. Think on the power of that perceiver of sounds, and they will fall off, leaving you free. Suppose with curses and various poisonous herbs, someone should try to injure you. Think on the power of that perceiver of sounds, and the injury will be bound upon the originator. Suppose you encounter evil Rakshasas, wolves, and bears. Think on the power of that perceiver of sounds, and none of them will dare to harm you. If evil be should encircle you, their sharp fangs and claws inspiring terror. Think on the power of that perceiver of sounds, and they will scamper away in boundless retreat. If lizards, snakes, vipers, scorpions threaten you with poison breath that sears like flame, think on the power that perceiver of of sounds and hearing your voice, they will flee of themselves in passion, bring thunder and lightning, strike with hailstones or drenching rain comes down upon the power of the perceiver of sounds, and at that moment they will vanish away. Living beings encounter weariness or peril, immeasurable suffering, passing them down the power. The perceiver of sounds, wonderful wisdom, can save them from the sufferings of the world. He is endowed with transcendental powers, widely practices the expedia means of wisdom throughout the land. 10 directions there is no region where he does not manifest himself in many different kinds of evil circumstances. The realms of hell, hungry spirits are the sufferings of personal sickness and death. It wipes out many of the true gates, the pure gates, the gates of great and encompassing wisdom, the gates of pity, the gates of compassion. Constantly we implore him, constantly look up. Reverence is true life, freedom vanishes, a sun of wisdom should spelling all darkness, he can quell the wind and fire of misfortune, and every reverent light to the world of precepts from his compassionate body, shake us like thunder, the wonder of his pity. Great cloud he sends down the sweet to the dog, array to quench the flame of earthly desires, and blossoms green before the officials, terrified in the midst of an army, think on the power, that perceiver of sounds and hatred in all its forms will be dispelled. Wonderful sound perceiver of the world, sounds, Brahma sounds, the seed-like sound, they surpass the sounds of the world, therefore you should constantly think on them from thought to thought, never entertaining down perceiver of the world, sounds perceive to those in suffering, in danger of death, he can offer aid and support, endowed with all benefits, infuse living beings with compassion, and eyes to see its accumulated blessings is immeasurable, therefore you should bow your head to him, and the Bodhisattva, her holder, immediately rose from his seat, advanced and said to the Buddha, world honored one, there are living beings who hear this chapter. Bodhisattva, perceiver of the world, sounds, and of the freedom of his actions, his manifestation of a universal gateway, and his transcendental powers. It should be known that the benefits of these persons may not few. That this chapter of the universal gateway, a multitude of 84,000 persons in the assembly all conceived a determination to attain the unparalleled state of Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi Om therefore in emptiness there is neither form nor feelings